In this exercise, we're going to be looking at the Fibonacci series through recursion with tests in Ruby. Okay, so let's create a directory to do our work. Let's call it fibs by recursion. Write that directory. And let's create our spec file, our test. So let's call that, that's our application file, and here's our spec file. And just to get rid of that one, let's actually just have the spec. Let's just do it in the spec first. Okay, so simple our spec, basic framework here, just to get it running, just to get a test running. So that's that, and we're going to put the code, instead of having it separately, we're just going to have the code right in here, just for convenience for this exercise. And our expectation is going to be, we're going to call that method, pass it 1, and we're going to expect it to be 0. Our first Fibonacci, we're going to start at the 0 of the Fibonacci series, so that's what we want to get back. Okay, and we needed an argument, so we're going to add in our how many Fibonacci's we want. I'm going to call that how many left. And again, we're just going to start off referring the first one. Not actually using that yet. We're going to head a little bit there, but let's do the next one. Let's say we want the 2 Fibonacci's. We can give it some actual, get rid of that now. And we're going to restructure this a little bit, just to make it a little bit easier to read and reuse down below, the same format. So each time we're just going to say our result should be something, and we expect our result to be the end value. And down here we expect to get 0 and 1 for the first 2 fibs. So this one was for 1, the next one was for 2. So, and same again, format. Okay, so 1 failure. That's because, of course, just returning 0 every time. Now we actually need to do some code. So we're going to say our collection of fibs, and there is going to be an empty array, start off as an empty array, instance variable. And we're going to actually do the Fibonacci calculation now. We know it's always current plus previous, so we're going to start doing calculation for that, add in current plus previous, add the result of that into the fibs array, and then set the previous to be what the current used to be before we overrode it. And then we see if we're going to quit out if we've got to where the point we wanted to get at. So if there's more to do, let's call this same function again with the new previous and cur that we just calculated, and how many left, which we reduced by 1. And so now we need those parameters up there, the current, the previous and the current, and how many are left, and end for that, and we return the collection of fibs, the array. Right, let's try that. And we got our arguments wrong here because we call that once when we don't have any of these initially, so we're going to set those to be default values, and we're going to call actually everything current instead of the shortening, just to be consistent and full English. Okay, so let's see how that goes. Okay, got 2 elements, but I got 1 because I added in, it should have been previous, and that means I also need to change that to be 1. Okay, and one more, I need to actually here pass in 2 when I call it, and that passes correctly. Okay, so that's the first 2. Now we're going to move on, get a bit more interesting perhaps, to the third one. So this is going to be 3, and should be 0, 1, 1. So that actually worked, which is nice. So let's do next one in the series. which is, at this point I just realized this should be 3 in the description, this should be 4. I'm actually going to go to 5, because 3 worked right off the bat. So let's see. It should be those. Actually, I'm going to jump to 7. I'm going to be bold and audacious. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. Okay, let's see if that worked. No. Okay. Ow, that's painful. That's not good. Only 1 failure. The other ones are working. It's a little tricky here. So I think what I need to do is change this. Oops. That's right. To be like, no, not that. Wait a minute. Alright, so I jumped ahead a little bit too far. Actually, that was actually, the description was wrong, but I did jump ahead too far. Let's go to 4, and let's just do 4. That. So I didn't change line 28. Okay, 4. And yeah, it's still doing that 1 thing, and then I look at the code up here, and I can see that. I'm worried about. I actually, first of all, I got worried that I got a name conflict with Ruby. I'm gonna be consistent if I'm gonna change this, and that worked. Which was actually a little bit strange, but let's move on to 5 or 7. Let's jump again. Let's try jumping again. The first 7 Fibonacci's. That's 7. Let's see if that works. Get rid of our put specs. Keep copying and pasting, and that worked. Which is nice. All set. Thank you.